Well, good evening and welcome to this Tuesday, March 23rd edition of A Walk Down Memory Lane. I'm your host, Earl Basin, and joining me this evening is co-host Dennis Brown. We await Garrett Punchy Dill. And our guests tonight include Calvin Bummy Simmons and Mr. Larry Hunt. First of all, good evening, gentlemen. How are you this evening?
Good evening, sir. Fine. Everybody's fine.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Good. Before we get started, the Bermuda Football Association has just released the 23-man squad that will represent Bermuda against Canada and Aruba coming up this week. I'm going to just read off the names of the Bermuda squad. They include the goalkeepers, Dale Eve, Jaquil Hill, and Quinacio Hunt. The defenders are Eusebio Blankendow, Richard Jones, Azende Furbick, Callan Miners, Jermaine Bean Lindo, London Steve Jackson, Dante Levrock, Trey Tucker, Jalen Batha. In the midfield, we have Roger Lee, Kane Critchlow, Jakari Furbick, and Nori Scott. While up front, we will have Jordan Otterbridge, Enrique Russell, Secoy Robinson, Zico Lewis, Shea Brangman, Bijan Simmons, and Keyshawn Bean. That's the Bermuda team that has been selected to face Canada and Aruba for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers getting underway on Thursday evening. But to the matter at hand, I want to say good evening to Punchy Dill. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good night, Punchy.
Well, I know Dennis and Punchy, we guys have been licking our lips because we want to get to, obviously, Mr. Simmons to find out from him directly how did he get started and where did he get started in his football prowess here in Bermuda. Mr. Simmons?
Big history. I got started, I had two brothers, and I got started with them when I was 5 years old. And during that time, the family was staying on St. John's Road, Pembroke, by the Barclay Institute Road. We used to play on this field called the box, called the sports arena. And what's going on up there now? I couldn't believe it. But otherwise than that, my brothers was Norman, and Norman played with Young Man Social Club, and Cleveland played with Western Stars. And during that time, my uncle Gledvin De Silva made me a cricket bat with wood. He couldn't get me out because I think the face of the bat was 6 inches wide. So up until I went to school at Northlands, I was always into sport. And from 11 years old, the gentleman was in the community named George Butterfield and Arthur Seeley, rather. And they kept the young boys in that community to play cricket, taught us how to play until I was 11 years old. Then I joined the Key West Rangers junior team. Earl Taunty Russell, Quentin Butterfield had a bunch of boys in that neighborhood and kept us going. Otherwise, that it went on to play with Key West Rangers when I was 15 years old. Played with the senior team. And I just grew from there.
Okay. Great.
During that time, we used to have a battle with the Pembroke Juniors. That was a great team, greatest team in that era, because I think they went by 3 seasons unbeaten until 1949. West End Rovers beat them at Somerset Cricket Club in Dr. Keene's Cup. And this fella, young boy, Chum Morrissey, fast and going now. He scored both goals. And like he gave me some inspiration looking at him. He's a big guy for 16. I think Mosley knows him. And otherwise than that, most of our games was played in the sports arena. And we traveled to Wellington, played St. George's, Wellington Rose at the Garrison Field. We traveled to Somerset. We played on the Sanders School Field. That up and down, I think they had a field that goes down and play, but it was good. And during that time that we used to play all our games at the sports arena. And I used to, when we used to, Key West and Juniors played, it was a crowd. Big Juniors was on the eastern side. We was on the western side of St. John's Road, St. John's Church. And it took us about 3 years to beat the Juniors. I can remember that. I think it's 1951 that we played them, and the first time we beat the Juniors, we beat them 4-3. And I got a picture here that Key West Rangers. That's the team. Like this team.
Okay.
This is no fellow Battersby. That's Winfield is the smallest one here. Right there.
Okay.
And he scored the whole 4 goals.
Oh, whoa.
I thought about him. Vinny, next day, Vinny jumped on a plane and left Bermuda. And we was looking for him for a whole week. He didn't tell us. he didn't tell us he was going abroad. And he migrated to Canada.
Whoa.
And
What a way to leave.
yeah. And I always told him about that. And I didn't see him no more for 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And he passed away by 2 weeks ago.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was 89. 89.
Yeah. Well, let me ask Mr. Hunt. How did you get started in football?
First of all, like I say, thank you guys for inviting me, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with Mr. Simon. We came up at 2 different eras, and I started my ball at St. Anthony Glebe School. From St. Anthony Glebe School, we went to Sam's, and then after Sam's, I played for Somerset junior team. At that time, it was only a junior division. So I played there until I eventually got into the first team, which was some years later. But it was worth the whole time that I had spent like 2.5 years on the bench. And it's unheard of today where guys are sitting on the bench for 2 years and not getting a game. My chance finally came. We had just won the league. I think it was in 65, 66. And after the Colts came, Somerset, and beat us 6-2. And we played them the following week. Conway made 5 changes, and I was one of those changes and never looked back.
Good stuff. Dennis?
Yes, it's a pleasure to have both you, legends on the show tonight. My first question to Coach Hunt, I still call it Coach right up to today, is can you explain to the people like the difference between Somerset Colts and West End Rovers, and then when did they eventually merge to become Somerset Trojans?
Well, it wasn't much difference. It was just that we had two great teams at that time. But still now, you can't have two teams in the first division.
Right.
Colts was just winning, but could not get promoted. But unfortunately, a lot of the guys never came. They just stopped playing. They never came up to play for West Ham. Like the Neville twins, Vandal Cam, Ivan Cam, all these guys they just stopped playing football. And when we did emerge, we had maybe 2 or 3 that came over, like Bernie Bangman and Reggie Tucker, Randy Orton. Those guys came and played for the Chargers.
Okay.
Bunch?
Good evening, gentlemen. Oh, wow. I'm in awe of both of you guys. Hey, Moss. How you doing,
Yeah,
Moss? I
man.
call you Moss.
Yeah,
How you doing? All right. Mr. Bummy Simons, how are you, sir? There's a couple of questions I want to say. I want to ask you. It's good to have you on the show. Thank God that you both are there. It's just great. I'm in awe of, you know. But first of all, Mr. Hunt, Mr. Larry, you muscles. I always thought, listen, man, you remind me. I remember being in the national team when I was 16 years old. We went to the Dominican Republic. But just watching you and George and Carol play together was like a revelation of all the quality that we had. I always kind of equate players like now that I see, like watching you play, and trust me, I just wish we would have videotaped all these great games also in Somerset, Devonshire Colts. Right. Definitely. Yeah. But you remind me a lot of Bernardo Silva that plays for Manchester City. That lefty, like the brain. I always thought you used the brain, of the team in Somerset. You know, the brain. I mean, George was really, you know, but what was it like playing with George? Well, you guys had a good relationship, didn't you?
Yeah, we guys' relationship was both George and Brett were in my wedding, so we had a relationship on and off the field. And I had a simple job: is to stop the opponent and give the ball to George and Richard Simmons, who was probably the best player I ever played with.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, that's. I'm very. Thank you so much for mentioning Dirk. I worked with him, and he was such a character, but what a good football player. A great football player.
20 years ahead of his time.
Yeah. And I'm saying what you guys in Dominican Republic, when we accomplished what we did, even against Mexico, was such a great. I was just wow. Usually it would be, we're going to make sure that we'll come up to beat you all, but we never beat you all a company of songs. But literally, but to see you all guys playing together, it was like, wow. I mean, and I was just a young boy, I was like, wow, just in awe of you guys, what we accomplished on the Dominican Republic, which was great. Mr. Simons, glad to have you on the show. Simons. Listen, let me ask you a question about Mr. Taunty Russell. What was it like? Everybody says he was that good. Really? Tell me about Taunty and what you thought about Taunty Russell.
Taunty is like an icon. He had a brain to play football. But he really came to himself. You remember going back in the days when it was BFC and the BFL?
I can't say I don't, but you could kind of
give us a little bit of yeah, because the white BFC and black is the BFL. We had two leads, white and a black.
Okay.
We were never to play each other until I think it's 1951. A governor came out there, I think his name was Sir Richard Lake. And when he found that it was two leads, white and black, white army and a black army, he said, this is ridiculous. This shouldn't be. Small country like this should never have happened. But he put up a cup for each game, football and cricket. He was a sports governor. And we played the BFC was very good. And I think it was at the National Stadium. Most of us don't remember that the field had on the northern side had an embankment. Blacks was on that side, and the whites was on the southern side.
Well,
Oh, all
Yes.
right. And I'm glad you bring this because the history. I'm sorry to go on about this. I'm glad, Mr. Simons, that you were speaking about that because eventually I was going to ask you that question anyway about that that era in terms of black and white football.
Yeah.
Yeah, blacks. So you really, that's what our country was. That's what Bermuda was about by there. But let me ask you a question. The other question I want to ask you, when that great game down at Sustaining Matthews, I believe, came to Bermuda.
Yes.
Yeah, and that game down in Nationals. Am I correct?
You're right. At National.
Can you? Yeah. Can you tell us about that game? Give us a little bit of history about that game there.
I didn't play in that game because I had an injury. But Taunty and Richard Mallory that played in that game. But Taunty's gone, Richard's gone. I can't get any information. I was there to look at it, but it was a great game.
So I mean, I heard so many stories about it. Even you go back and read about it. But wow, Taunty was really a pick above the bunch, wasn't he?
That's right. That's right. He was the mastermind.
Oh, okay.
We had a brain to play football.
Can I ask a question with regards to what Punch is asking? So when the two leagues merged, where did the white clubs go? Because we don't see that that many around. No, they had a league, so obviously there were an abundance of clubs. So where are they now? What happened to them?
They faded out. They didn't want to play with us. We couldn't join their clubs. I always said, to get harmony, you must have black players involved in your clubs before they entitled to allow some black players in the clubs. They retired early, and the clubs folded up. But I take my hat off to BAA because I told George Sousa once that the only way you can get back into football, you have to re-enter some black members. No longer a couple of years ago, they was involved in the Premier League. They've done very well. I think they came sixth for the season. And Kenny Thompson was the coach over there then. He moved over to North Village. And he took about 10 players with him. And BA just couldn't field no team. When they stopped, entered the League Premier Division and gave it up. I said to George before he passed, there's one big mistake you made because you should have kept on playing, even play some junior players. Keep in the Premier Division. You don't give up Premier Division like that.
Not at all.
And I think that was the downfall. But I take my hats off to him. So the only white club left alive. And Vasco came in a bit. They stopped playing for a while and they come back in. They're doing very well because the only way we can get harmony, black and white has to play together to make this country a good country. What is a good country anyway?
Definitely. Dennis?
To Coach Hunt, I was spoiled coming up in Somerset to have the ability to watch you guys, when I was growing up. How was it like to play with, because like you had George, like you said, you had Dirk, you had Horton, you had Clyde, you had Borley, you had Rudy Marsh, you had Roger Hunt, Kenny Can. And it always seemed to me like you were the type of guy to do a lot of the dirty work. So what was it like for you? Say, for instance, Dirk gets all the praise and George gets all the praise, but the football enthusiasts knew that every team needed a player like you in a team to do the dirty work. What was it like to play with those guys and also to win the Triple Crown? In Bermuda, what was that like?
It's an experience that I just will never forget. Even like Rudy Miners and Kenny Can, those guys were my mentors, man. Leroy Thompson,
Yeah,
and Kipps. These guys showed me how to play the game. They were grooming me for their position. I played left back, center half. Midfield was my main position, but everything was so easy. Everybody was like a family. George, you guys just read each other, communication. We were dedicated. We loved the game, which players don't do today. They don't love this game, and we made the sacrifice. Listen, when I played football, you can guarantee you like 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, I'm in my bed, getting ready for Sunday. Can't wait to have you guys going 3 drills every Sunday morning. Then we'll go out and have breakfast. That's every Sunday. So the camaraderie was right there. And if you got out of hand, the senior players like William Myers, Kenny Leroy Thompson put you in line. So it was just an honor playing with those guys. And it was a dream playing with guys like George and Dirk. Yeah. And then you had Clyde, Borley, hey, it was just a dream, man.
Yeah. And just another thing to Hunt, you weren't the tallest guy, but I would always look at you as one of the toughest guys out there. What really drove you like to be a no nonsense type of guy? You know what I mean? And Lance Brown reminded me so much of you when I used to watch Lance. What was your driving factors when you were playing?
I can't even answer that question because when I've been on the field, I was a different animal. Off the field, I was calm and collected. But it's just that when I played soccer, it came from deep. And I did anything and everything to try to. I mean, some people call me dirty, and maybe sometimes I did play dirty.
Right.
I was just a hard player, just wanting to win.
Okay.
It always had great teams, but before us, they never won. I mean, I remember Mr. Simmons and Somerset playing in the FA down Pembroke. I think Mr. Simmons got a header 30, but outside the box, a header.
Wow.
And I was inspired from those games right there. That's one of my first games I even went to. And I was a youngster. And hey, from that point on, I said, hey, man, we guys got to get big. We were too talented not to get anything out. So that was one of my inspirations.
Yeah. Punch?
Oh yeah. Well, inspiration wise, very, very good. Very good. The Somerset in the red and black, it wasn't even changed the uniforms a lot, but red and black and red tops, black shorts, and red socks. Yep. And some great games up there watching you guys bringing Devonshire Colts. Definitely. And PAC. So good.
Devonshire Colts, but I guess, in my opinion, my best games was against Northridge.
Wow. You crucified us, didn't you? At the time. Yeah. And we had to wait until you retired to start taking over.
Yeah.
I had to wait till you guys retired. You and George there. My turn came. So,
But we were competitive.
Mr. Simons, with the history in this country, and I'm sad that we don't have enough visual being able to kind of see it, to say, look how good guys were. I also know that PHC, you went to PHC, am I right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, in your latter years. Yeah. And it became a great team too, am I? Yeah, a great team, PHC. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a great team, yeah. I got I'm going to show you a book that I've done, right? This is page 18 there.
Mm-hmm.
This is taking up Somerset.
You lost, isn't it?
No, we won.
They know something, they can play something.
Yeah.
You might regret that comment.
With the FA Cup semi-final.
Okay.
Document.
We was 1-0 down 5 minutes ago, and Richard Mallory scored the tying goal, and we went into overtime. And in the overtime period, we pumped 4 goals into Somerset. We won 5-1.
Oh.
Yeah, these are the things. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Punch.
your captaincy reign, because you was always seem to be I think you were the captain of these teams too.
Yes.
So I guess you have such an influence that we're not really experiencing today. But I know that in my era, I mean, even with Muscles, the influence of captaincy. What is so important about the captaincy that you know about? Give us what you think a captain is really meant to be. What is he like? I'm sure Dennis would know this here too, but I want you to answer that, Mr. Simons.
I got that experience when I went to England, with Rochdale. I left Bermuda 1954, and I over there, and I got a knee injury, and I couldn't get back to play for football because you're playing British football Saturday afternoon. It was those days that you were in a substitute, and I got an injury and couldn't knock it off. I stood around for a couple more years, and I packed it in because every time I went to training, and being a lead, again, the English game gave me this opportunity to lead. Yeah, you have to be tough. And I was rude, tough now to my players. I keep them coming and to remember that they are players, young players. You can't rough them up. And I always thought about young players like Willis Manders. That's Arnold Manders' daddy. That guy and Leslie Virgil, they was good young players. You bring them along. Willis really couldn't kick a ball, but I told him that to play football with it, you have to train by yourself, master the ball. And each player, when we went to training, each player had a ball to do what they want to, but you have to control and master that ball. And you don't win them all. You lose some and you win some. And if you're on a close, going to count on 1-0 leading 1-0, your defense has to be tight. And we always have a good defense.
Okay. Hey, Muscles, let me ask a question. The question I want to ask you, Mr. Clyde Best, I know it's going to come up. And it will come up. Yep, it will come up. Now, I know he was up and coming. And then, I thought Somerset was like, whoa. And then here comes this Clyde Best. I'm playing alongside Clyde Best. Did you ever notice his quality right away? Did you notice that?
Over in Dockyard. So he played for Island Rangers for a long time. And Clyde now really came over Somerset until late. So
in the Dockyard? Really?
Yeah, he was Island Rangers.
Yep.
The Icewater Smith. That's the guy who sort of made Clyde Best where he was back in the day. And but we knew his potential when he came over to Somerset. He came over around 15, and he was big, strong, and scored a lot of goals in the junior division. So his transaction to the Premiership or to the first team was pretty easy.
because the reason why was when I was living in England, I was in England. Harry Redknapp, I ran into Harry Redknapp one time. He listened to my accent. I was just passing because his grandson was training the same ground my grandson was.
Right.
And Harry Redknapp, he could chat. And he said, "You're from Bermuda?" And he's talking about Clyde Bass when he first saw Clyde Bass.
Yeah.
Oh, what a story. Talking to him for about 45 minutes, and he been on about Clyde Bass. We saw his potential and stuff like that. So that's the reason I was asking that question
Right.
about when you see someone and you see the potential, even though you're playing beside him, it's like he's got something extra, something good. And he was what he's accomplished, what he has accomplished. It was great. But at least hearing it from you, exactly what it was like when he was so young. And I never knew. I haven't read his biography and stuff like that, but I never knew he actually started out at Island Rangers, which I know a lot of Island Rangers, the dockyard guys could play some football.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bully B Bully B started at Dockyard, like Lou Simmons, Ray Williams. These guys, all our goalkeepers came from Dockyard.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. And
so in actual fact, so what you're saying, Somerset was the premier of, you became a Dockyard, you had Island Rangers, and you also had Somerset Bridge. But at the times, most of these guys would actually say, I'm going to make Somerset's team. Is that what was going on at the time?
But even if the Eagles had a great team, always had good teams. But if you was from that era, from White Hill up or White Hill down, you played for Eagles. If you didn't, if you was in Somerset, it was either Dockyard or it was the club. But Island Rangers really didn't excel in the senior division. So they had a great junior program, but they were never able to have a senior program. That's when the players was filtering into Somerset. So we sort of stole the players at that time.
I understood.
Yeah. We've heard the name Icewater Smith at Island Rangers in molding a lot of these players. Mr. Simons, who were some of those coaches in your time that we don't hear much about, but obviously they influenced you guys enough to ensure that you got the proper training and had the right frame of mind to enter the field. So who were some of those coaches?
You're talking about Bermuda? Bermuda coaches?
Yes, Bermuda coaches.
Alfred Seaman, he started Key West Rangers. Howard Joe Place, Sinclair Ferber. And then Taunty took over. Taunty took over, and he was a young boy, about 18 years old, helped to mold most of us. And few players like followers like George Courtney, Leslie Ingham, that's the Peanut Man, and Harold Master, they call him Wap. And their inspiration, we had about three teams. First of all, a Premier Division, a reserve team, and a junior team. And they helped to mold a lot of us. And then we went out to, what's the name now? Oh, I forget. The sports arena, that's a stepping stone. Every Thursday, every Sunday. That's when we used to play our game. Thursday afternoons used to be a half a day holiday. And Sundays, I remember me getting into playing 3 games a day. Hoping that when somebody don't show up, we get a game. That's in the morning. Junior team started at 12, and the next game started 1:30, and the senior teams started at 3:30. Hoping that one time I played the whole 3 games because somebody in the senior team didn't show up, and that's how I got into the Key West Rangers team at 15. And I'll never look back. During that time was a gentleman named Bill Buckley, a white gentleman that I only thought that he was in a bowl of milk, a fly in a bowl of milk. You never saw that. This gentleman was an engineer at Balco, and he used to watch the blacks play football. He stayed right on the avenue and came to me and said, that's when I got 16. He said, where do you stay to? I said, I stay just on the road there, Upton. He says, I'd like to speak to your mother because I think you can do very well in England. So he came to my home, but my mother wouldn't have anything to do with it. My mother told him, I lost 2 boys, and it's the only one I got left, and it's not going nowhere. I did get out, go to England, and I was supposed to go to Bolton for a trial. They accepted me, but 2 weeks before I had to leave, they sent a cablegram to me. They couldn't take me at the time. So he said that I can get you into a 3rd division team. I said, I don't care. Just let me get off the island. And I was going on for 22 then. And my football over there was good. I had good help. My trainer would always remember the name, Joe Duff. Great man. Harry Catcher was the manager. And he used to stay back, show me a few things. And my trainer, Joe Duff, used to take me in the gym, punching a bag. And I asked him, am I becoming a footballer or a boxer? We're going to the trade. He said, no, I'm developing your shoulders. Because when you go down the center, I want you to strike these center halves. And that's how, you learn from the talents. Unfortunately, that I had a few games, and Joe Dolphins, I always said, he took on me for almost 2 years. But Rochdale was a good place to start off. Otherwise than that, I have no gripes. Unfortunately, that my career came to an end. A bad knee.
You just came back and then frustrated Somerset in cup match. Not to worry.
Whatever. Hey, let's keep it clean. Keep it clean.
But Mr. Hunt, after playing, you got into coaching. Who were some of the influences you had when you made that transition and eventually taking over Somerset Trojans?
Well, I actually started coaching when I was about 21 when I was in the first team, man. I had one of the junior, but I had the Bantam team, and I started with the Bantams, worked my way up through the junior division, and then I went to Eagles for 3 seasons and helped to bring them up to the premiership, and then eventually found myself home in Somerset for 3 years. It's a great experience. Had some great players. Guys was pretty well disciplined at the time, but I didn't stand for a lot of nonsense. Guys, they knew I didn't stand for the nonsense, and they just did what we had to do, to win. We eventually won the league for Somerset after years and years and years, but it was great. I enjoyed it.
Dennis?
And right now, I'm still coaching. I'm coaching PB, some of the oldest active coach now, I guess.
Oh,
In the morning,
okay.
my PB is at 7:15, getting the field ready to like 11 o'clock. So these guys are keeping me young, keep me in shape, and have fun, man.
Yeah. They're the ones that listen.
Yeah.
No
So,
egos. No egos. To
Dennis?
both Cy and Coach Hunt. What was your personal fitness regimes like when you were a player? Like, did you do stuff on your own, or did you just wait to train the team? Because nowadays coaches, we talk about players doing the extras, doing your own. What were you guys like when you were players?
Okay. And I was playing, I used to do a lot of running preseason before. I used to go right into cricket to football. And I always was fit anyway. But I done extras, had to, because getting your body in shape, your diet has to change. And that's it. Otherwise, in that, I had my body was always in shape. I never smoked, never had a drink shandy, that's bourbon and ginger ale, I think. But most of the players I played with was clean living boys, gentlemen, clean living. And you always, if you have to go 120 minutes, we ran 120 minutes. Train for 120 minutes. That's what you do in football game. Not 90, you train for 120 minutes. You need that extra time. But some of them today, the young fellas that doing good, that we, especially the ones that in England now, that's the only way they can start improving our football in Bermuda. Because there's a lot slower than first of all, they must get their education, because anything could happen in football. Because footballers have a 10-year span, otherwise they didn't get any serious injuries. After 30, you got to look down, because today's footballers in England, they're playing 17, something, but players are 16 today. And they're bringing them along. Because I saw the other day a 16-year-old playing with Leicester, I think. And doing good. One thing I would ask Dennis, Earl, Punchy, you ever heard of a Black Pioneer book?
Black Pioneer?
Yeah. I
No.
got it.
No, I don't. I haven't. I'll be honest with you. I haven't. Go ahead.
No.
This is the book that Black Pioneer. This is the book that Clyde Best and myself has mentioned.
Oh,
Somebody tell me about that too.
all right. Thank you. And
The
it's
way I started, this gentleman, David Glee and Bill Hearn, they wrote this book. Took about 5 years. This book is about English club signing the first black player. Although Clyde was mentioned in this book, he was not the first black. I thought he was the first black player that West Ham signed up. But this gentleman, Bill David Green, went to Rochdale because this come from Crystal Palace's side. And he had a black player on there called Tony Collins. We went to Rochdale in 1959 as player coach, player manager, right? And we went up there to the fan club and asked, what about your first player, black player, Tony Collins? And the fan club said, that's not the first player, black player that Rochdale had. He said, Cal Simmons from Bermuda. It's the first one.
Mm.
So
Well done.
started like that. So this sports editor at the Royal Gazette, like 9 months ago, Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright, yeah.
Yeah, he called me, must have got in touch with Stephen. And he got a hold of my book. And, Stephen told me he didn't know too much about me playing football, but he was a cricketer.
Yes.
So he played both sports. He said, yeah.
Excuse me, Connie. I still don't know how both of you done it because I know Muscle, you play cricket also. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes, you did, and you was pretty. Yeah, that's right.
I got bad. My wife said it's gonna be one or the other.
Not all year round.
It's not the side.
I truly believe. I truly say this in all honesty. I don't know how you guys ever did it. Like two sports, you never get no break.
Right.
But again, Mr. Simons, thank you so much for the history that that was still again about just letting us know, the country know about that information. I'm glad you also brought you mentioned the fact about younger players now going overseas. I'm glad you brought that to the forefront too. You mentioned that about I think it's where the country's headed. Because as you know, most of our young players now will be leaving the country, do leave the country, because that's what seems to be the course line. I can imagine, I thought at the time, maybe Muscles, you could be playing over in England too. Maybe we all could have been over there.
Exactly.
But, those avenues were not available at the time, or it just weren't sought after. We were comfortable playing Village or Somerset. But Mr. Simons, I'm glad you brought it to attention. I keep saying that I think the country is headed in the right direction. For instance, quote unquote, my grandson is over there playing with West Ham. It's so many of us doing good, and the younger players were getting, I think it's a step in the right direction. That's the point that I'm going to make. And thank you so much for mentioning the stuff. Thank you so much for that.
That's the only way to go. Send them over there to get experience, and they can come back or make it. There's no harm playing in the 3rd division, 4th division, but you're getting experience. Not everybody can play in the Premier division. But we're on the right track. I wish our cricket can do the same thing if they want to cricket, but the cricket is going the other way.
Yeah, that's another story in itself, isn't it? That's another story in itself. That's another story in itself. Hey, Marcel, one thing I want to ask you.
Okay, let me ask the other question about training, because I was not.
His personal trainer is
extra, right? But when we guys train, we really train hard.
Yeah.
We train 3 nights a week. We had 3 lights shining down on some quick love field. Today, the whole field is lit up.
Yeah.
And 1 night a week, we never saw football. So the only person that done extra for something,
George Brangman. Yeah.
Wow.
That guy was a monster.
Yeah.
And that never showed up, man. It was when we were doing physical. That said, you don't train tonight.
We have a middle team.
But
Yeah,
he was naturally fit. Naturally fit person,
That's a good. Larry, I'm glad you brought that up, because I know in my day at young, was training under my brother Cal. The physical conditioning was paramount for us. I mean, after the ball technical work, and used to be running for like 20 minutes after the daily session, 20 minutes straight.
Yeah,
I was like, whoa! But it was common there, and that's most of the teams on. I do understand exactly what you're saying. in terms of that. It's changed a bit now because I've seen it has changed a bit. But I do know the physical part of the game was very important for a lot of Bermuda teams, and it was very and it does help. It has helped. I don't see that. I don't see too much of that happening now. I'm not, blowing the whistle on anybody, but I know exactly what you're speaking about, Mr. Larry Hunt. I do know that.
The technique of our game now has diminished.
Yeah.
The basic trapping, passing, you don't see that much today, and it reflects on the field. That's what we guys did. We just pass, trap, even throwing the ball in. We just done the basic tools that we needed to win. And it's everybody's running about this technical. We want to play this formation, that formation. Nobody understands it. Guys are too proud to say, "Well, coach, I don't understand it." Yeah, well, I do understand it, but when you go on the field, it's a different ball game. So, yeah.
Yeah, Dennis.
Hunt, take us back to that Triple Crown season. What was it like? To be playing for Somerset that season? You guys won the triple 3 times or once?
3 times in a row. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. In a row. So it was party time.
sorry, Earl. 3 times in a row.
Listen.
Our regiment didn't really change. Once we won the FA Cup and we won the Friendship the year. Actually, no, we won the Friendship in the league, and everything was just falling in place. When things became easier, we had a winning mentality. Like I said, training. Everybody came training, did what we had to do. Guys, after the game, some guys, we had some guys that could party, and other guys just, like I said, guys like George Brown slept football, man. This guy, he was just, like I said, George was just a monster when it came to football. And that, a natural ball player, Boley Smith, in my opinion, was even better than Clyde Best at center forward. He should have been named by far. Anybody could tell you that Lionel Smith was better than Clyde Best.
Whoa.
Yeah. There's no doubt about that. Reggie Tucker, Bernie Bram, 2 wingers that killed guys on the other side there. Randy Horton coming in from the center. We just had a great team and it was just fun playing with them. We enjoyed it. That's basically what we did.
So how did Conrad Simons manage so much talent? I'm sure some egoism there. How did Conrad Simons manage that as the coach?
Out of respect. That's all it was. We respect Conrad. And that's the bottom line. And Conrad could be a nice guy, but he could be a very hard coach as well. And it was all about respect. And that's what we did. We respect each other. And you see, back in my day, most of the guys playing my team were mad. So we were always responsible.
Right.
And that's another key part to our success. 90% of the guys were mad at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, Punch.
Oh, Mr. Hunt, you just bring up some good points about that, huh? Responsibility. Yes. Responsibility to the game. How does it come about? It's not by accident. You live your life like that. Yeah, it seemed that way. Yeah, exactly. Mr. Simons, of this cricket, tell me about really. Everybody talks about Pembroke Juniors. Were they really that good?
Yeah, they was that good. Once a team that goes through 3 years undefeated, they're a good team. Because during that time, most of them was in the army in Bermuda. And they was up to the prospect there, garrison up there. And the British helped to train them. British soldiers, footballers. And you got Jeremiah Mills was in there, Hardy Black, right back, Oscar Francis, left back, Kitchener Simmons, David Augustus, central defenders, Noel Stevens, Bully Williams, midfielder, and you had forward line, Scorchy Baxter, terrific player. Hussey Butterfield, another good player. Toulouse Francis. They was great players. I think most of them was in the Army there. Outside of, yeah, Jerry, the goalkeeper, was in the Army. And they played at the uh, teams at the HMS Sheffield. Why that happened? Because during the time in the early 40s, I can remember I was a little boy, and the commissioner dockyard had the ships coming in to refuel for a couple of weeks. They used to play the BFC, and they got tired of beating them 5-6-0, stuff like that. So they must have heard that they got a team called the Pembroke Juniors, and the commissioner, the man Navy fellows, the captain, said we want to play the black teams, see what they have. But they had a 3-game series, and Pembroke Juniors won 2 out of the 3. The one they lost was a 1-0 loss, and they were great. I'm telling you, they was a great football team. Everybody wants to play with the Juniors because they had a strong defense, strong bench. There's Sonny Gustus is still living today. He's 94. I think he's the only one that left out of that team. But he waited almost 2 years to get in the team. That's how good he was. Sam Seymour, great player. And it was dockyard. We couldn't play on BA Field those days. So every game was played on those must be playing. It was crowds. I know I played hooky from school one day. Got up there to see him. And the Juniors won 3-2 that game. Those the game they lost was at Burns Island, 1-0. And these chips, matter of fact, they had a guy when I went to Rochdale. The boss, Harry Captaincy, said, you have a player that's been to Bermuda called Eric Gamble. I said, I remember Eric Gamble when I was a little boy. He played a year. He stayed a year here. He used to play for a team called Danbar. Daniel said Malabar. He played in the White League. And he won it. And he asked me, you still got that white and black thing going on down in Bermuda? I said, yeah, but still got it. And he said, that's one of the reasons why he left and come back to Britain. But he always talked about Scorchy Baxter and Bossy Bodyfield. He said they was great. They was great players. They could have made it in England. He said some of the players, most of the players that played in that team could have played in England. David Kitchener Simmons Gets, they used to call him. Artie Black. He named them all. He said, those boys can play football.
Artie Black that owns the blacksmith place up there on Curvin Avenue?
Yeah, Artie.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Artie was a good player. Right back. Played right back. Hard. Oscar Francis. Kid Simmons. David Augusta. David the Undertaker is passed on.
Yes.
And they was great players, strong, tall, fit all the time.
So you were actually saying that all these guys at the time could probably have played in England. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, could have played in England.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great compliment. Thank you. That's a great compliment. It is.
But until we got around that, took us about 20 years to play one lead everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got over that. But that's why white sports, faded out because you don't have too many players today that play football. Everybody have a few players over the years.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Hunt, now we're going to fast forward. The national program come up against Canada. And I know you've been in the national team. What is your opinion of the national program, direction, and what do you think about the result coming up? Because I got a text today, and I heard that they come in fully fledged to play against Bermuda with all the best players in Europe. So what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Where do you think we're at now? And what do you think our chances are against Canada?
Tell you the truth, I really don't follow the football as much as I used to, and I'm not even sure the preparation that this team's there. They might have been away maybe once, maybe, but a football season has been halved, and so I really don't have too much faith that we're going to be doing anything as far as that's concerned. Unfortunately, that's the way I feel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The news, because even the guys from the player from Bayern Munich is supposed to be involved with it. So we're up against it. But anyway, what we're really up against this. I even asked Dennis. Dennis, what do you think?
Well, to me, when I saw the team put out today, a notable absentee was Reggie Lamb. I was pretty sure he came back to Bermuda a couple of weeks ago. Another absentee is Naki. Like you say, Canada's coming with a full complement of the professional players. And, that's, I wish our guys well, you know what I mean? I just hope they catch Canada on, a bad day and we perform, to high levels, but, it's going to be a big task. But, with the leadership of Dante and Jalen is going to be very important because the team now looks like it's a very young team with, looks like they're rebuilding. So, so I just wish them the best, but, it's going to be a big task going against the Canadians too. Like you said, the preparation's been a little different. We just had the training camp, I believe was a couple of weeks ago. And since they've been back, they've been quarantined at Coco Reese. It's been difficult preparations due to the pandemic. So, I just wish them the best and hope for the best for the team.
Thank you, Dennis.
But I think playing at an empty stadium might help them,
Yes.
I don't think they feel that type of pressure with these, how fast are they to get on these guys. So you got an empty stadium, it may be a completely different ball game.
Yes.
Then,
Right.
Yeah, so that might help them.
That might have good point, man.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I do want to thank our guest this evening. But first of all, I want to wish Mr. Kelvin Bummy Simons happy birthday come next week.
Happy birthday, sir.
Yes, happy birthday, sir.
The great number of 89.
89, yep.
89.
Earl, can I just ask one question?
Sure.
To because I always wondered, man, and this is, I mean, regrettably, this is cup match. How were you able to be so dominant as a captain, playing against Somerset in these cup matches? Like, how were you, and the team that you had in St. George, how were you able to? Because I think you did like 3 2-1s in a row or something like that. Why were you so dominant as a captain in cup match?
Well, I used to pick my own teams. First,
Oh, wow.
let me start like this. I started playing cup match when I was 18. Somerset always had a strong team. It was the number one team. I did want to play with Somerset, but unfortunately never happened. Because my father was from Somerset, and all my people is up there. I used to visit Somerset with my mother. Come, leave St. John's Road, go to the tennis stadium, get on a train, and go to Somerset every third Sunday in the month. Up, she used to go and visit. So I got to go there. And so getting back to dominance, and it was during the 50, okay, I left. I missed cup match 54, no, 55 and 56. I got back to Bermuda, end of 56, the end of November. And I played a cup match 57. I think we lost that game. 58, we drew. 1959, we had 112 runs to make to win, but we never made it. And the late Lloyd James was our last hope. He had 28. We was on 7 for 100. We lost by 11 runs. Lloyd was giving a leg before wicket. The ball hit him in the hip. Hit him in the hip. I put up his hand. The next batsman was Kenny's and Robo Burgess. We had high hopes for them to make 11 runs. They never did.
Mhm.
We lost the match by 11. In 1960, we went to Somerset. Rain. So we won the toss and went in. And we made 230 for 6. We declared by 5 o'clock in the afternoon. In those days, we had to stop at 6. So we never got the first over. Our captain, Clarence Simmons, was raining, and the umpire will not call it off. So he slipped and hurt his back. And the rain came down hard. So the game was called for the day. The next day, we had to bowl some. We wanted to win. We had to bowl Somerset twice in one day. So I was vice captain. I opened up with Dennis, with Jackie Durham and Kenny Paul. I told him, you never bowl in your life. You'll bowl today, Kenny. I will. You'll die at one hand. So Jackie Durham got 7 wickets. Kenny got 3. It was like 45 minutes before lunch. So we put them straight back in. They made 93 or 96. We had about 130, 120 some run lead. And we had plenty of time. I grabbed 2 wickets before lunchtime. So the late Jordan Rayner and the late Charlie Duffy, those was my 2 troublesome batsmen that gave us trouble because they would sit on you. So we had to break somebody up. And looked like they were settling in for a draw. But we broke through and it was all out by 5 o'clock. So they had a 50-run lead. So Dennis and Jackie Durham went in and knocked the 50 runs off. and they we won the match by 10 wickets. So that first year, the Somerset Cup match those days, if you win your first cup match in the 2-year period, you take the cup back to St. George's. So that's when we start to have a good team. Move and the type of players we had. We picked players from St. David's, Baylor's Bay, Cleveland County, if they're great. But we always had a strong lead team down there. But when Clarence Parker came on the scene at 65, made us strong. Lee Randall, Alfred Cleese Hall, Lewis Scotland, Lloyd, Dennis, Neville Darrell, Lee Randall, and I told him that keep your eye on me. I'm be looking all around the field. Focus on the game. Always. So our Sixers, in the Sixers, under my leadership, we had 4 2-1s, 1 draw. Anyway, we had 8 wins and 1 draw.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
And
Got a long way to go, Dennis.
I'm sad I brought that up.
For
in
sure. For sure.
the 70s,
Yes.
we were still strong, but
Yeah, they were.
they changed the policy 1979, and we lost the cup. We had the cup for 20 years.
Mhm.
And out of that draw, I gave them 182. We made 83 hours, 180 minutes to make 182 runs. And they was ahead of the clock. And we was minus a bowler. Kenny Paul pulled up lane. So it was going, especially Mackie Simmons and Mackie and Joe Bailey was ahead of the clock. They had an hour to go to make 51 runs. And they lost 4 quick wickets. It was 2 for 117. Went from 117 for 2 to 128 for 6.
Whoa.
And they put up blocking the wicket. Mackey and someone else was then living. He just stood around. But the tide changed when I took Joe Bailey, catch over Joe Bailey in the colors. He just stood up and looked at me. And yeah, great player. Great player. John Stowell, great player. They had great teams. Somerset always great teams. I remember my first year in Cup match, Timmy Evans, 170, not out.
Yeah.
Him and Kenny Mary put on a 200-run partnership. Then he got out on 96. It was great players those days. We had great players, especially Somerset. Gopher Wilson, Timmy Evans, Kenny Mary. Woodgate was playing there, ending his career. And they always had good bowlers. But sometimes Georges, they gave up. But I couldn't give up. I attacked them. I don't wait for them to attack me. And Clarence Parker came on the scene 1961. It was a Burns supposed to do it. That boy can bowl. That man can bowl. I can remember Liam and Lee. And the first year cup match, Karen's Papa cup match, I think he got 15 wickets. 8 in the first and 7 in the second. And he just get, they didn't have a, they was, soon as Clarence came on the ball, like they freezed up. And I got him then. And once I see him freezing up, I set a second field for him, made him more scared. Put batsmen around the wicket for him. And they afraid to come out. And Dennis is a good wicket keeper, master wicket keeper. The minute they raised their foot, they got you and going. So Clarence, into my knowledge, Clarence was the best bowler I ever seen. I keep saying that he's the best bowler in the world. He should have been out of here when he was 22. During that time, Silvers came to the island with an international team, playing up something. And we made 75, they made 42 in the first inning. Clarence had 7 for 12.
Whoa.
All those 7 was hit wickets.
Whoa.
Hit wickets. And we gave one ball. And we had Silvers, 2 ducks in the same second innings. He got Albie duck. Everybody hollered. And he was walking. Umpire said, not out. People come to see him bet. Said, yeah. I said, yeah, they come to see us win too. we won the match. We won the match. You know. And those days, I made Joe Bailey bowl in the second inning, like he was scared, my good friend. Sorry. Second innings, I said, trying to break up a partnership. And he got 4 wickets, 4 for 39, I think. And Clarence got 4. Lee Wren and I got 1 each. But we won the match by 40 runs or 30 runs. It was a 3-day match. But the match lasted 2 days. Yeah. Those were good days.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yep. Wow.
Well,
What a walk down memory lane.
walk down memory
In the last 10 years, we haven't had the teams from the Caribbean come up. We can't play each other every weekend. Teams making 70 runs. So we got to have teams come to Bermuda, upgrade us.
Mm-hmm.
To the T20 overs messed us up. We should play 50 overs or weekend cricket. Start one weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and finish the next weekend. That's the only way we'll get development. And these Jamaica come up here, they come a little higher quality. Barbados, higher quality. Trinidad, a higher quality. You know, I remember Antigua coming to Bermuda, 1948. We was some cricket league there. And I was only 16. I was playing with Western Star. And they had a tall guy by 6'7" and Donaldson. And he bowled, his hand was in front of your face. And he was quick. And those days, no helmets.
Yep.
playing on concrete. I met playing at Sports Arena. I opened the innings like 16, stood around. I made 30th Street. They beat us. It started from there. The teams coming in. England came here, on the way to the Caribbean. 1950, 51. Played them up Somerset in December because we don't play cricket in December.
Mm.
So we accepted the challenge, stop all, and what's the name? They did it first. There was none from 90. Dennis Compton. Then my good friend Eugene Ward Buck, his first spell. Then Chopper was captain, and him and Clarence Simmons was vice captain. They didn't want to come off the ball. They started building. There was 20 on the board. Didn't give Gene a chance. And they were building up to 90. They got 90 for none. And Buck Woodgate said to him, come off the ball. And they put Buck on myself. Buck operated Dennis Compton in the first over, his second spell. And he went on to do 5 for 49. And I bought 14 overs, 4 for 29. Easy got the other one. And we started to improve from there. Clubs coming here, upgrading. Yorkshire has been here, Worcestershire has been here, or Warwickshire, Gloucestershire, they upgraded. But after a while, we decided they had the Caribbean players, the upgraders. 1958, a team went to Jamaica on a training program, 17 days. And we done very well down there. That's Sir George Headley giving us the helping hand. And we started from there.
Okay.
We need this to upgrade our cricket.
Yep.
Our cricket's going down.
Yeah.
Man, cup match, just a, slugfest. My team right now is in the shovels.
Nice to hear that.
Yeah, but we really got some time to go. For sure.
I'll reserve comment.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Well, once again, thank you very much, gentlemen. You have enlightened us on a lot of information on back in the day, and truly, Mr. Simons, a walk down memory lane. We want to thank you very much, and to Mr. Hunt, thank you very much. And we'll be back with another edition of A Walk Down Memory Lane next week, Tuesday, right here on IronStacks.com. Do enjoy your night.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bunch.